on GTA 4, which has both Vegas and Los Angeles in it. It basically it's an encounter with the game's edges, with like you cannot go any further even though you can see further. And so I find it really interesting that what the player is doing is they're both like using their zoom to try to get closer to it, and they're also just shooting at it. And I think that this idea of like reaching a space's edges, and like here we are at the edges of this planned community, and like what the encounter with the quote unquote outside looks like. I mean, I think this clip, there's obviously these echoes of this colonial violence, of this like, you know, of the encounter with the border being a violent one, but then there's also just this like attempt to reach the outside. And I feel like when we're thinking about technology and the mediation of space and the way that, you know, neoliberalism has provided the framework for automated space and virtual space, that reaching the edges of that is actually like you know, something that we might be invested in, even as we're critiquing its logic. I think that, you know, sometimes I watch this video and I feel like I identify with the person who's like shooting at the edges just to reach the other side. I think that there's like, in terms of centralization, I think that there's this metaphor that runs throughout, you know, gentrification processes, that runs throughout neoliberalism about like monopolization, centralization, you know, maximizing use in the center and then like expelling the peripheries. And so I think that what takes place around those peripheries is often this like really violent encounter, and yeah, like and explore sort of a lack of comprehension. As much as I think this clip is about that, though, I feel like it's also about a reality that is just contained within these planned and monopolized spaces, to the extent that like seeking an outside becomes so important, or becomes this really like absurd or futile exercise where like all you have is like your scope tool and your gun and like the horizon. Yeah, so rather than leave us in the like sad horizon, I figured I would play myself out with something a little more upbeat. I think that it'll cover some of the themes that we've talked about before. It's a Gucci commercial by David Lynch.